I'm Gupta here, founder at 10x Coder Kids and an official Guinness record holder for the youngest computer programmer in the world. And today you're gonna be learning your class 9 book, Touchpad, computer book, Chapter-4, looping statements in Python, right? And this is going to be a very interesting chapter and a very important chapter for your UTs. So without any delay, let's get started. Alright, so your chapter is on your page number 40. Alright, so sometimes you need to repeat a task multiple times, or you may need to repeat the task either a certain number of times or until a condition is satisfied. Okay, so this was the previous video's code, and in this text they're saying sometimes you may have to repeat a task. For example, at time to time you may have to drink water. It's a real life example. You are repeating the task of drinking a water to quench your thirst, right? uh, 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 Either a certain number of times or until a condition is satisfied. You'll drink water until and unless your thirst is over, right? Until and unless you are satisfied, right? You will drink water. So in Python, the statements that are used to repeat a set of instructions are called iterative or looping statements. So loop, you know the meaning of loop, doing things again and again in the same order. Similarly, in Python, looping statements or iterative statements are used to repeat certain number of tasks. Looping statements are very useful and necessary for developing applications. So these are very useful and very necessary. Python provides two types of looping statements, for and while. Alright, so you're going to learn two types of looping statements, the for loop and the while loop. The for statement is used to repeat an instruction or a set of instructions a fixed number of times. So you'll tell the for statement how many times you have to repeat a certain code, right? And it will repeat that code, execute that code that number of times. Whereas the while statement is used to repeat a set of instructions until a condition evaluates to true. So until and unless a condition evaluates to true, till then, till the condition evaluates to true, the while loop will continue executing the code, and when the condition evaluates to false, then the while loop will you will come out of the while loop. Alright, so let's discuss these constructs in brief. Alright, but first I will want to show you the structure of the for loop and the while loop. So for x in range 2 to 100, right? Or we should say 1 to 100. Then print x. So what this is doing, you're seeing that you have to run this loop 99 times. Okay, so you're gonna learn the range function right now. But for example, I say for x in 1, 2, 3. So what this will do, it will see the length of 1, 2, 3. It will set each value of this list to x, right? So it will give each value of this list to x, and then every time it will print x. It will print x till the list ends, right? So it will print x till the last item. So if we had 100 elements like this, right? So it would have printed the counting from 1 to 100. Okay, so we have 1 to 10 and we are looping on this list. So we are getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And while loop structure is while the condition that you give over here gives you true, till then do something, right? If the condition is not equals to true and it is false, then it will come out of the while loop. Alright, pretty good. Okay, so the for statement executes a simple or compound statement for a fixed number of times. The syntax of the for statement is given below. So like I told you, for the variable that is x in iterator. Your iterator will be your iterable object. We know that iterable objects are those objects on which we can loop, right? So iterable objects are like lists, tuples, dictionaries, and you have strings. These all are iterable objects on which you can loop. So over here we can give a list like 1 comma 2 comma 3, right? So this will loop on this list. It will set x value to each element in the list, and then we can execute the code over here. Do something. We can do something over here. So this code over here in the for loop will run the length of the list number of times. For example, over here the length of the list is 3, so the code in the for loop will be executed 3 times. If this length was 4, then the code in this would have been executed 4 times. For example, I give a string over here and say Saion. So Saion has 5 characters. So now for loops code will execute 5 times, right? Pretty cool. So now, for example, they have given you an example also. So we have days, right? That is a tuple. That is an iterable object. Okay. This is a tuple, and we'll give all the days in this: Monday, Tuesday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Sunday, right? Okay, so miss type over here. Okay, so we have all the days now. Now we can loop in on all the days for x in days. So now all the code that I give in the for loop will run 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It will run 7 times, right? So the code that I give in the for loop will now run 7 times. And what I want to do in X, I will get the values Monday, then I'll get Tuesday, then in the third iteration I'll get Wednesday, then in the fourth iteration I'll get Thursday. So in every iteration I'm just gonna print the value of X to see what values of X I'm getting in each iteration. So in the first iteration, when it will try to execute the code first time, it will get Monday, second time it will get Tuesday, third time it will get Wednesday, and so on, right? Pretty simple code. And to print a pattern using the for loop, right? So how can you print a pattern using the for loop? If you remember, we learned that print, for example, if I have a string Saion and then I print it into 3, so we'll get Saion in one string. If we say into 5, we'll get Saion in one string, right? So we'll use this concept of multiplying the string. So what we'll say for a in range, I'm getting to the range function 1 to 10. Then print the star times a. So what will happen over here? This range function will give us a list between 1 and 9, right? So it will give 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah. So this range function is essentially giving us a list that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So in the first iteration, a will be 1 and it will print the star once, because the string into 1 will give us the string itself, right? So it will print the star once. In the second iteration, a will be 2, right? So when doing star into 2, we'll get 2 stars in the same string, and that will be printed. When doing into 3, when a is 3 and star is into 3, then we'll get star 3 times in the same string, and it will go on till it reaches the number 9, and then it will exit the loop. So we'll get a beautiful pattern that is this, like this over here. For example, I did 2 stars over here in this string. Then also I'm getting a good pattern. So a is 1, so we get 2 stars. If a was 2, then we get 4 stars. When A is 3, then we'll get 6 stars. When A is 4, we'll get 8 stars, and so on. So it will multiply the whatever the contents of the string are, it will multiply it that many times, and then it will club that all in one string and give us the output. You learned this in the previous chapters. Alright, so now we are learning the range function in detail, right? So the range function is an inbuilt function of Python. The function generates a list, which is a sequence type, right? So this gives you a list, as I told you. A sequence is a succession of values bound together by a single name. So it's just complicate things. A sequence is basically an object with multiple items, right? That's it, right? So the range function is used in the for loop to iterate over the numbers. So it is used in the for loop. The general syntax for using the range function is given below. Range n generates a set of whole numbers starting from 0 to n minus 1. So what this means is, for example, over here in range I give two things, 1 and 10. I said to the range function that I want to start from 1 and I want to end whatever I give it minus 1. So I want to end on 9. When giving 10 as a second parameter, I'm saying that I want to end at 9, right? Okay, and if I give 11 over here, this will have given us a list between 1 and 10. So it would have given 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. When giving 10 over here, it is giving us a list that contains 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, right? Over here we give two things. What if I just give one thing? Alright, so if I only give one parameter, then it will start from 0 by default. It will check, oh, there is not a second parameter, so it understands that it has to start from 0. So this will give us 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, because whatever you will give over here, it will end at minus 1. Alright, so 10 minus 1 is 9, so it will end at 9. So it will start from 0 and end at 9. For example, they have given a range 6 example. So range 6 is equivalent to 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then like we had 1 to 10. This is the range start and stop. Generates a set of whole numbers starting from the start to the stop minus 1. So if we give range 1 to 10, we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. When giving range 3 to 9, we get 3, 4, 5. We get 3, 4. Okay, in your book they have given wrong, right? So in your book they are saying range 3 to 9 is equivalent to 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No, range 3 to 9 is equivalent to 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. Then we have range, stop, and step size. This is a more complex range function, and over here you give a step, like for example 2. So what this is saying, that start from 3, right? Then ignore the next value and go on to the next after that, right? So it will give us 3, then it will give us 5, then it will ignore 6 and give us 7, then it will ignore 8 and so for example I say 1 to 10. It will become more clear, and I give step 2, right? So it will say get 1, then ignore 2 and get 3, then ignore 4 and get 5, then ignore 6 and get 7, then ignore 8 and get 9, right? And further, because the range is saying that last value can be only 9, we have specified 10 over here, so the last value can only be 9, so it will stop at 9, right? And to make things clear, let's see what we are getting in A. So we get 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. So for example, I give over here 3, then we will first get 1, then it will ignore 2 values, so that it will ignore 2, it will ignore 3, and it will give us 4. Then it will ignore 2 values, that is, it will ignore 5, it will ignore 6, it will give us 7. And then it will ignore 2 values, it will ignore 8, it will ignore 9. But now it can't give us 10 because the range ends at 9, right? So we'll get 1, 4 and 7, right? Pretty cool. I hope this is clear to you. So to this, they have given you a program to print a name 9 times using for loop with the range function. So if you want to print your name 9 times, then you can just say x equals to input, and we'll say enter your name, right? And then for x in range, like if you want to print it 9 times, you can just directly say 0 to 9, and by default it takes 0, so you don't even have to give 0, you can just directly give range 9, right? And then you can just print the name x, and we'll just not say x over here, we'll say y, right? Or we'll say name over here, sorry about that, we'll say name. So we'll take in the name, we'll loop 9 times, and we'll print the name each time. So this will give us our name 9 times. So if I say my name is Saion, then it will give us the name 9 times. Alright? And to print multiplication table of an input number, if you want to print the multiplication table of your input number, how will you do that? First, you'll take in the integer, the table number, right? And enter the number whose table you want. So we'll tell the user that enter the number whose table you want, right? And then we'll say for x in range, and then we'll say because we want to multiply it by 1, and we'll have to multiply it till 10, right? So we are giving a table, right? So we'll give whatever the number is entered, for example 10, so we'll give 10 into 1, 10 into 2, 10 into 3, 10 into 4, 10 into 5, 10 into 6, 10 into 7, 10 into 8, 10 into 9, 10 into 10, right? So we'll say 11 over here, because 11 minus 1 is 10. So now x will have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And in each iteration, what we can do, we can just do table number into x. So if I want the table of 10, so in the first iteration it will do 10 into 1, in the second it will do 10 into 2, in the third it will do 10 into 3, and so on till 10 into 10. Alright, very cool. Now we are on the while statement. So till now we have done the for statement. Now we'll look at the while statement. So the while statement executes a set of statements repeatedly until the logical expression evaluates to true. So while the condition over here is true, till then do execute the indented code. Okay, so if the condition is false, it will come out of the while loop. The syntax, they have given while test expression statements. To demonstrate the use of a while loop, what they have done, they have taken I equals to 0, they are taking enter as string, and they are saying that while I is less than the length of the string, till then if ai is equals to e or ai equals to s, I plus equals to 1, current letter okay. So they are saying that they have written a kind of complicated program for you guys in the starting when you don't know what while loop exactly is. So we'll just write a simpler code. So we'll take in the name, right? We'll take in a name, and we'll say like input, enter your name, right? Then we'll say a variable that will be our test variable, right? Equals to 0, or we can say I is equals to 0. Then we'll say while I is less than, right, less than the length of the name. Okay, I'll make everything clear. Till then, print name I and I plus equals to, or plus plus, or you say plus I plus plus. Alright, so okay, so what this is doing, let's say I plus equals to 1. Okay, so what we are doing over here, we are setting an variable 0, then we are taking the name of the user. For example, I enter Saion, it will check the length of the name of my name. So my name has 5 letters, so it will say that till the I is less than your my name's length, till then print the character and then increment I, right? So it will take in name Saion, and it will say, it will go in the, it will check, yeah, 0 is less than 5, so it will go in, it will print name 0, right? So whatever character is on the 0th index, on the 0th index we had S, so it printed S and incremented I. Then it checked if 1 is less than 5, yes, 1 is less than 5, so it will go in, it will print the character on the first index, right, that is A, right, and then it will increment I, right? Then it will print the letter on the second index, and then it will increment I. Then it will print on the third index, it will increment I. Then it will print on the fourth index, and then it will increment I. And when I is equals to 5, it will check if 5 is less than 5. Now 5 is not less than 5, so it will come out of the while loop, right? Pretty cool example. Alright, so now we are on the infinite loop. Alright, so if the condition given in a loop never becomes false, right? So over here we are incrementing I again and again till basically the I doesn't reach the length of our name. But what if we never incremented I, right? Then I would have always remained less than the length of our name. So that means that it will loop infinitely and the loop will never ever end, right? So if I see Saion over here, then the loop will never ever end, right? And we'll have to stop this program manually. The loop will never ever end when the condition in the while loop is never evaluated to false, right? So to come out of the infinite loop, we can either close the program window or press Ctrl C. I pressed Ctrl C, alright. This will break the running of the program. In fact, at any time during the execution of the program, in Python, you can press the key combination Ctrl C to stop running the program. So at any time you can press Ctrl C to stop the program. It's not necessary that you have to do it only in the infinite loop. At any time if you press Ctrl C, it will stop the execution of the program, right? Now we are the while loop using the else statement. So if you don't remember, we used the if else statement and we learned about the condition statements in the previous chapter. So if you haven't seen the chapter, do check that out. Alright, so while loop using else statement. So Python enables the use of else statement with the while loop. The else block is executed when the condition given in the while statement becomes false. So we'll increment I over here, and we'll say else print came in else. So what this will do, this will first print the name. You already know this much of the program, right? And once this condition is false, once the I is 5 and 5 is not less than 5, right? We know that 5 is equals to 5, but it is not less than 5, so it will come out of the loop. But before completely finishing the loop, it will go in the else block and execute whatever is there in the else block, and we'll print came in else. So when we enter our name, it will first execute this much, and when the condition over here is false, then it will come in here and say came in else, right? Pretty cool. Now we have the jump statements, right? So these are pretty important statements for you, right? So the jump statements are important. Okay, So sometimes there is a situation when the control of the program needs to be transferred out of the loop body, even if all the values of the iterations of the loop have not been completed. For this purpose, jumping statements are used in Python. Python offers two jumping statements, break and continue, which are used within the loop. Alright, so these jumping statements are on your page number 44. They have told you about the break statement first, but we will start with the continue statement first, right? Because I have a pretty good example in mind. For example, we have all the alphabets, right? And they are in a list, and we have A, B, C, D, E, F, G, right, and so on, right? So I'll complete this and then come back. So we have all the letters in this, right, in the alphabets array, and now we want all the consonants, right? So we want all the consonants separately, and we want all the vowels separately, right? So you won't rewrite all these alphabets, right? What you can do, you can do this smartly while programming. So what you'll do, we'll say, we'll use the for loop for x, for alphabet in alphabets. So for every alphabet in alphabets, what we have to do, we'll say if alphabet is equals to A, or alphabet is equals to E, or alphabet is equals to I, or alphabet is equals to IO, or alphabet is equals to U, then add the alphabet in vowels. So if or for example we only want the consonants, right? So what we'll do, we'll say if alphabet is A, or it is E, or it is I, or it is O, or it is U, then just say continue, right? So I'll explain all of this, and outside of this we'll say else consonants dot push append. I'll explain all of this, right? Alphabet. So what this is doing, this is a code to filter out all the consonants from the alphabets. We are looping on every all the alphabets, and for every alphabet we are checking if it is A, E, I, O, or U, then continue, meaning just skip the iteration. Don't go forward, just skip the iteration and it will go up for the next iteration. Else, if it is not A, E, I, or U, then it will just append the alphabet. Alright, pretty cool, right? So the continue statement was on your page number 45. So the continue statement is used inside loops. When a continue statement is encountered inside a loop, control of the program jumps to the beginning of the loop. So it will skip this loop when it, for example, when it finds A, it will not go forward in the program. It will skip this iteration and go up for B, right? And when it finds E, it will skip the iteration and it will go for F. When it finds I, it will skip the I iteration and go for J. It will not continue the iteration. Whenever continue is encountered by the program, it will skip that iteration, it will ignore the further code and go back to the top. Alright, and this is a very useful statement for you. And the break statement is basically it's very similar to the continue statement, but it will completely stop the execution when encountered. So for example, when I say if alphabet is equals to R, then break, else consonants dot append alphabet. So what this will do, it will first go on A, it will check if it is R, no, it is not R. A is not R, so it will append in consonants. And append function basically adds whatever you give it to the list. So for example, I'm saying consonants dot append alphabet, so it will add the alphabet to my consonants list, right? So when this is R, so when we go from A to B to C to D to E to F, and when we reach R, it will check if alphabet is equals to R. Now R is equals to R, right? So it will completely break. Break will completely finish this for loop, right? So it will completely finish this for loop and it will come outside the for loop. Continue skipped that iteration, but break will completely finish the for loop. All right, pretty cool. And we have some more programs. We already saw that star pattern program, and to add the first 5 natural numbers, we'll do this program right now. So what they're doing, this have a sum variable that is equals to 0, right? So we'll want to add the first 5 natural numbers that are there in maths, right? So a equals to 1, because natural number starts from 1, whole number starts from 0, natural number starts from 1. And we'll say while our a is less than or equals to 5, because we want to add the first 5 natural numbers. So we are saying less than equals to 5. Less than equals to 5 can also be written as less than 6, right? We are writing less than equals to 5 because it is more clear. Then it will do sum is equals to sum plus a. So whatever the previous sum we had, like for example, when it is 0, so now whatever the previous sum is, for example, the sum is 1, right? So whatever previous sum is, we want to add to that. So we are saying sum is equal to whatever the sum value is plus the new a value, the natural number, right? And a equals to a plus a, right? So a is equals to a plus a. So okay, so over here what this will do, this program, I don't think this is to for the first 5 natural numbers, right? So it should have been a equals to a plus 1, right? Then it is the first 5 natural numbers. This program over here is wrong. For the first 5 natural numbers, you'll have to do a is equals to a plus 1. So over here what you're doing, we are checking if a is less than equals to 5, then add a's value to the sum and increment a by 1, right? Then it will check, like for example, a is right now 1 is less than equals to 5, so it will add it to the sum and it will increment the value of a, right? So now a equals to 2 is less than equals to 5, so it will add the value of 2 to the sum and then it will increment a. And when a is equals to 6, right, so 6 is not less than equals to 5, so then it will come out of the loop, right? Okay, so we are not printing anything. So after this whole loop, when we get the full sum value outside the loop, we'll say print the sum was, and we'll say sum. The sum was 15. Alright, very cool over here, right? And this was it, guys, for the video. If you have any doubts, please comment down below, and I hope you like the video, and I'll see you in the next one.